Good evening, Chicago Cubs fans. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back. It is AJ, your average fan here. We have a weekly roundup to do today. It is Thursday, April the 10th. I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. We have some Cubs stuff to talk about. Right off the rip, we will talk about a big storyline for the Chicago Cubs. Justin Steele to the 15-day IL. He has elbow tendonitis in his throwing arm. Um, so yeah, this is kind of a little bit of a weird one, I suppose. Um, he went through his last start just fine, it seemed. And then the next day when he is doing um, his activities to prepare for his next start, uh, the Cubs brass decide to put him on the IL. It looks like, I went back and I looked at his start, and while his goal was to pepper the strike zone, and pepper the strike zone he did. However, throughout his start, his fastball velocity was dropping a little bit. Um, he had said in an interview that he had mentioned it to Craig around the fourth or fifth inning that he was starting to feel it, but they also weren't sure if it was because of the cold, if it was his actual elbow. So Justin Steele did pitch two more scoreless innings after that. Um, and then they moved him to the IL the following day. He came in to start doing the activities uh, that he would normally do after a start. Said that it was still aggravating him a little bit, so they made the option to put him on the IL then. While this does suck for the Cubs rotation, uh, I can also see the want to put him on the IL now instead of trying to get him to push through another start or play through an injury. The last thing that you would want to do is have him blow out his elbow and then require Tommy John for one. And for two, um, Justin Steele has had this issue a couple of times in the past. He was on the IL last year for the same thing. But I also do think that last year maybe he played through it a little bit before going on the IL. And then, that may have made it worse, and that's why it took him so long to come off the IL. This could also be a thing where the cold weather had something to do with it, and that's why it's presenting itself as an issue. That could certainly be the case. So it just makes sense to, at this point in the season, you definitely want to be on the safe side, especially with Justin Steele being the top guy in your rotation. Does it suck that this has been an issue in the past for Justin Steele? Yes, but again, you want to protect your pitcher. Um, in an interview with Craig Counsell, he came out and said that he would not do anything differently, and I agree with him wholeheartedly on this one. He had said that, Justin Steele said mid-game that he was feeling something in his elbow, but they weren't sure if it was the cold. He left it up to his pitcher if he wanted to continue through the game. He did. And then coming back the next day when Justin Steele was starting his recovery process, when Craig Counsell found out that it was still irritating him, that is when he decided to put him on the IL as a precaution. Once again, I agree with this decision. You want to be on the safe side, especially this point in the season. Don't let it drag out. Don't try to get him to play through another start. Just see if it takes care of things. Plus, with the way that your off days shake out, it looks like he could potentially only lose two starts, best case scenario, because of how the off days play out over these next couple of series. I'm going to go ahead and just look at the schedule here. So we're on the 10th. So he would definitely lose a start against San Diego. and then perhaps the Diamondbacks, because after that Diamondbacks series, we have a day off on the 21st, and then another day off on the 24th. So because of those 2 days off, if you're playing that best case scenario, he could be back for the Phillies series at home. So that would definitely be on the plus side of things. And other news for the pitching, in our last start, Shota Imanaga did not have a good day. That could be attributed to the cold. It was also he just got really hard hit the entire time he was out there. Very uncharacteristic for Shota. It's only the fourth time that he's given up more than 4 runs. So, not the end of the world on Shota's end. Again, I do think that with Shota, there was a little bit of that cold weather, like we were talking about with Justin Steele. Obviously, Justin Steele pitched lights out, even though he did land on the IL with that tendonitis. I think that maybe the coldness definitely affected Imanaga there. His velocity was down with all of his pitches. He left a lot of pitches, mid to upper portion of that strike zone, and he just got hammered. Very uncharacteristic for Shota. So I think that once the weather warms up, we'll see that go away. You would like to see him obviously ace that start after finding out that Steele goes on the IL, but when you look at it, it's really not the end of the world for Imanaga. I think that he'll bounce back just fine, especially since we're going places that's a bit warmer. I think that he'll be okay. So as we roll down here, we're looking at the Cubs DFA Caleb Killian because they acquire Tom Cosgrove. So just seen this today. This was just I was literally just doing the Google search to get my notes together for this episode, and this trade is what popped up. They traded for him for cash, and DFA'd Caleb Killian. Caleb Killian, um, I'm assuming that he'll probably clear waivers and just get outrighted to Iowa. We haven't seen him at all this year, so to be taking up a 40-man spot when you go and get somebody kind of just makes sense to do the DFA thing. But that's also assuming that he clears waivers to get outrighted. So we haven't seen Caleb yet. So to DFA somebody who we haven't seen in an MLB game, I can see that and I can agree with it. Looking at Tom Cosgrove's statistics here, this is an interesting pickup, in my opinion. He pitched in 2023 and 2024. He pitched in 54 games in 2023, 18 games last year. Last year, he had an 11.66 ERA, but in 2023, he had a 1.75 ERA, so he's got a career of 3.95. This trade does make quite a bit of sense to me in the fact that it gives us another lefty in the bullpen. We only have one lefty in the bullpen currently. So I'm assuming that's what that trade was about, was just to get another lefty in the bullpen. And then also with Steele going on the IL, a couple of people to keep an eye on uh, would probably be Javier Assad. He's supposed to be coming off of his IL here in a little bit. And also, God, name escapes me right now, and I was just talking about him yesterday. Let me see here. We'll go to roster real quick. That's active roster, depth chart. Uh, no, that's still depth chart. Non-roster guys. Forgive me, guys. I just had this. I just had the name in my head, and it just kind of popped out on me. Daniel Palencia is actually another one to keep an eye on. I just saw his name, Jordan Wicks. Man, I'm so sorry, Jordan. I don't know why I didn't. Anyways, yeah. So Jordan Wicks, and getting Daniel Palencia back. Jordan Wicks has a lot of good stuff. He ended spring training on the IL. Same with Daniel Palencia. So they are in the minors right now doing their rehabs. I am most excited for Jordan Wicks to come back. He had some really solid stuff. He was really solid last year. Made a couple of spot starts, mainly out of the bullpen. 6'3", 220. He's a another left-hander, so that would be really helpful to get back into the bullpen. Another guy that I'm looking at is Luke Little. He's also a big lefty. He would be really helpful to get back into the bullpen. So, I mean, there is good things to look at for the bullpen in the coming like week or two. There is a couple of guys that are in the minors. There's a couple of guys on the IL that are coming back that are in the minors right now doing rehab. So, I mean, there is some safety nets coming back in for the bullpen in the pitching. And that's kind of also what we're kind of going to center most of our conversation around tonight is while we're looking at the Cubs in the last week, they went 4-2. They took two games from uh, both San Diego and Texas, which is really good. They had the potential to actually sweep both series, really. The bullpen gave up one game against San Diego. And then in the other game, the Cubs were just kind of down right from Jump Street in that game. Like I said, Shota Imanaga very uncharacteristically kind of got rocked in that game. But uh, the Cubs scored 36 runs in these six games, and they allowed 24. Most of those runs come from the one game that you lost in San Diego and the one game that you lost to Texas. Uh, so one game is directly contributed to the bullpen, which we will talk about. But if we look at the Cubs offense as a whole, the Cubs offense has been producing in many different ways this entire season. And I mean, this goes back to the sweep against the Athletics. This goes to the series prior to that. Basically, once you take out that Dodgers series in Japan, once the season started, the Cubs offense just 180. And what really impresses me about the offense this year compared to the hot offensive start last year is the Cubs are scoring in multiple different ways. I mean, they're getting their scores off of the long ball. We've seen Kyle Tucker, Dansby Swanson, Seiya Suzuki. They're all hitting home runs. We have also seen, the non-home run guys like PCA, while not as often as Nico Horner, but Nico Horner especially, same with Ian Happ. They're spraying the ball all over the field. They're scoring while having runners in scoring position with two outs, which is huge. They're also scoring with bases loaded walks. And I think that this is one thing. This is going to be a theme for the entire year, I feel like. And I feel like this is a really big adjustment that Craig Counsell made going into year two. The Cubs are scoring a lot of runs based on two outs with runners in scoring position and with walks. And this is something that the Cubs didn't do a whole lot last year. They were striking out in big positions last year with runners in scoring position, but this year it's a completely different story. And if you were to tell me that the Cubs have already surpassed their numbers of runs scored off of two outs and runners in scoring position compared to last year, I would not call you a liar. I would believe that. I don't know what the statistic is from last year to this year because I'm not like a very deep statistics guy. Excuse me. But I would definitely believe you if you told me that they're either already there or have already surpassed it. Their ability to take walks this year, their walk rate is already the highest in the MLB by quite a bit. And if their walk rate is so far above league average that it really bodes well when you have guys like Tucker and Suzuki back to back in the lineup when both of them have been taking their walks for number one and two. When you have Craig Counsell keeps flipping the two in the order, which I also think is a good thing, and I'll get into that later. But you have guys up and down the order that have shown their ability to take walks. So when you have two outs and the base is loaded, you really don't want to afford the walk to anybody in our lineup right now. But um, you know, you're getting scores with these walks. I mean, when I was looking at if you go back and you look at the post game shows that we've been doing, one of the very first things that I mentioned about the offense is their ability to take walks. I mean, there was 3 games in a row where they took 8 walks. There's been a couple of games with 7, 5. They have taken a whole lot of walks. And what I'm going to do actually right now, as I'm talking about this, is I'm going to go ahead and pull up their team stats because, um, I mean, their team stats is absolutely amazing so far. I mean, if I look just based on walks here, just by this category, Kyle Tucker has 14, Suzuki has 11, Matt Shaw has 10. So even though Matt Shaw isn't getting the hits that he wants, uh, his on base percentage looks fantastic because of these walks, which is good because when you're looking at going down the order, if your power hitters and your on base by contact guys are getting on base, if you're looking down the order, guys like Pete Crow Armstrong and Matt Shaw, these guys are taking their walks. I mean, that only helps the offense really, and I mean if I'm looking at just the strikeout numbers, Seiya Suzuki, his is up there, but his also is kind of inflated because just like last year and the year before, he's getting a lot of those outside strike calls that I don't think really should be strikes, but they're getting called strikes. His vision for the plate's a lot better because he's taking his walks as well. Pete Crow Armstrong has 15, Ian Happ's 15, Matt Shaw's 13, Dansby Swanson. If I'm looking at the hits, and this is one thing that is another thing that the offense is doing well. Everybody's also getting on base via the hit. Kyle Tucker's got 19, Seiya Suzuki 18, Nico Horner 14, Ian Happ 13. If I'm looking at the runs scored, Kyle Tucker 16, Ian Happ 13, Matt Shaw 11. Again, and these are all things that are by playing the small ball, it only helps because when you have these guys taking their walks, and then you got guys like at the bottom of the order, for instance, our uh, our guys behind the dish, Miguel Amaya and Carson Kelly. I mean, these guys are getting their hits. They're also taking their walks. I mean, they're both batting. Let's see, Miguel Amaya is a 267. Carson Kelly's at 333. One on base percentage, Carson Kelly's is at 500. Miguel Amaya's at 258. So, I mean, these guys, the offensive production right away has been outstanding. And another thing to piggyback off of that is their base running. Their base running compared to last year is, I mean, let me see if there's a stat for that in here. Hitting, no, no. Regular season, all positions. Yeah, no, I can't see I can't see the stolen bases on here. But um, well, oh yes, I can right here. Stolen bases: Pete Crow Armstrong 6, Nico Horner 6, John Birdie 5, Kyle Tucker 3, Dansby Swanson 2, Michael Bush 1. I mean, these guys. The other thing that is helping that I have noticed is that with one out, you're seeing a lot of single steals, double steals. What they're doing is they're taking the ability for a double play out of the defense's hands. And this is another thing that I really liked about Craig Counsell switching out the first and third base coaches, because when you're active on the base paths, that really just allows the team to score runs where typically last year they would ground into double plays and the inning. What you're seeing is a lot of second to third and first to second steals, the double steal. So you're taking that ability out. And the other thing that this is doing is they're forcing the defenses to make mistakes. I mean, we saw the Cubs force the Texas, they forced the Padres. They really did it really well against the Athletics. They're forcing these guys to they're forcing them into defensive mistakes. And I mean, not only mistakes, but also just by being so aggressive with these steals. I mean, they're taking like routine groundouts that would be thrown straight to second base, and they're just outright beating the throw there. So when they beat the throw and the bases are already loaded, you're scoring your run, keeping the bases loaded, and they just continue on with their production. And I mean, it's really been refreshing to see this because the Cubs did fairly decent in their last year of 2023 with Rossi in the stolen base department. They didn't do great, but they did okay. Last year, I don't really think that Craig Counsell had a lot of faith with. the base coaches that we had, we didn't see a whole lot of steals and double steals. Uh, but uh, with who Craig Counsell put in place, uh, he's really taking advantage of those bases. He's taking what the defense gives them and what the defense shows them, and he is so aggressive with it. And when we got Counsell last year, I assumed that the Cubs would be right around the same as they were with the last year with Rossi. I honestly thought that the first year with Craig Counsell would be a chance to uh, kind of see what he has to work with, see where he can improve, and see what he could do different without touching the player roster. So what I mean by that is just trainers, the first and third base coaches, hitting coaches, pitching coaches, things of that nature. And we saw a pretty big flip in the offseason with what he did with that side of the roster, meaning the coaching staff. Then the Cubs bring in a guy like Kyle Tucker, and that just makes the offense that much better, right? We also got, Matt Shaw over at third base, which offensively he hasn't really shown up yet, but defensively, way better than Morel and Paredes combined at third base. So, Shaw alone has probably already gained quite a few defensive runs saved over Morel and Paredes. And then also you got solid backups like John Birdie that could play at third base, Justin Turner who could play third base, which even though he usually plays over at first to help Michael Busch, which I also think that that's been a really good pickup because Michael Busch last year struggled against the lefties. So, uh, Justin Turner can only help him in that regard. There is one game in the San Diego series where Justin Turner missed a pretty crucial ball that would have won you the game. Which, I mean, to be fair, the bullpen also wound up giving up that game right after that because that was the tying play, and then the bullpen gave up the go-ahead run. But the one thing that is also really refreshing is that this year it seems like the Cubs really turn around and perform well right off of a loss. And, what I mean by that is the Cubs won the first two against San Diego, they lost, and then they won the next two against Texas before dropping game three. It's not like last year where you might see two or three losses in a row before the Cubs respond. Like they are responding immediately. And I love to see that. I really do. I mean, they were on a 5-game win streak, and then they lost one. They wound up winning that following series. They won, against Texas. So, the offense is really showing up so far this year. I don't expect them to, you know, I don't expect them to play at this level all year long. Where, if you just look at the last week alone, they're averaging like 8.6 runs per game going into yesterday's game. So that might have dropped a little bit since they only scored two. But their season total is sitting at right around 6 runs per game or something like that right now. So, you know, the offense scoring in multiple ways is extremely, extremely refreshing to see. I mean, I really like it. I really think that it just helps add to that diversity tools that you need as an offense, because that's where we saw the Cubs struggle the most. Is they were either getting their runs off of the home run ball, or really some luck. I mean, they weren't good with runners in scoring position. They weren't good with taking walks in crucial spots like they are this year. So, the offense is really turning that around, and they're doing it rather quickly. Do I expect them to, stay at this level all year? No. But as long as you can avoid what happened last year, where you had a 2.5 month lull in offense totally, um, as long as you can avoid that and you can cut it from what did they go like 37 and 31 over 60 games or something like that. They were under 500. If you can turn that around and be just over 500, that could really help in the long run. Or maybe they were like 20 and 40 or something, and over a 60 game span, like it was terrible. So if you could just flip that number, it doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be 600 ball, but like if you have a lull in production, if you can hold that somewhere around 500 or just above 500, that alone can be the difference maker at the end of the year compared to last year. Uh, so as we move along, we will start looking at the bullpen because the bullpen still has some issues, same issues that they had um, last year, as a matter of fact. Their closer, massive question mark. We don't know what's going on with that. While we did see a clean inning yesterday from Ryan Presley, I'm going to need to see him piggyback a couple of those together before I kind of start respecting him in the closer position. The only real guy that's been pretty much lights out outside of one game so far has been Porter Hodge. I mean, Porter Hodge has been lights out. I think that he should have gotten the closer job to begin with at the beginning of the year, but I do understand that you guaranteed Presley the closer job, which also sucks because now you're basically in a position where you're going to have to DFA him if he's not your closer because he will not like being an eighth inning guy. Um, but like I said, the good news coming over the horizon, you do have some key guys coming off of the IL to help. Um, I mean, I'm not too sure about this Cosgrove guy because it does look like last year he got lit up pretty bad. He did only play 18 games though, so I haven't really done a deep dive on him to see uh, if he was playing through a nagging injury and then he got shut down. I mean, he had to have only playing 18 games. Um, but again, as I'm looking at the Cubs, uh, hold on one second. Let me look at where is my roster? Where'd it go? Boy, now I can't pull it back up. Fantastic. I am woefully underprepared. There we go. Roster. So yeah, as we're looking at like I said, as I'm looking at this really now my roster just won't pull up for real. Okay, here we go. So yeah, Javier Assad, he's on his IL. He's almost done with that, I do believe. Brazier's on the IL. While he hasn't been fantastic either, still another arm that you can get back. Um, you know, uh, let's see. Like I said, Luke Little, he's going to be a guy to look for when he gets off the IL, especially being a lefty, because that's one thing that our bullpen lacks. I mean, while it doesn't really lack in depth, because there is a lot of guys in the bullpen, there is a lot of guys down in AAA for the bullpen. A lot of them are righties, so getting some lefties in there would help. Luke Little would be a really good guy to get back. Daniel Palencia would be a good guy to get back, and Jordan Wicks. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to look up Luke Little's stats from last year. In 30 games, 3.46 ERA. He actually had a game save last year. And yeah, in in 30 games, 26 innings, 3.46 ERA. While it's not like blowing the doors off of people, I would say that it would definitely be a better option over some of the guys we have. I think that Merriweather kind of has to really get going because he's been a little bit not like himself. Daniel Palencia, looking at him, um, in 10 games, he had a 6.14 ERA, but he is a hard throwing pitcher. Looking at Jordan Wicks, Wicks was rather decent for the Cubs in 10 game or in 11 games. He had a 5.48 ERA in 46 innings of work. So he was definitely a guy that was either a long reliever or he was doing spot starts. So if you're doing spot starts and you're doing long relief, while 548 isn't great, it is semi-serviceable. You look at him in 2023 in 35 innings pitched, he had a 4.41 ERA. But having lefty depth in the bullpen would certainly help the Cubs right now. I mean, I think that just having lefties in general would help the Cubs. Because I think that Thielbar is really struggling and Pearson is really struggling. And Pearson was a guy that I was really hoping that he would kind of. I was really hoping that he would bloom a little bit as a guy this year. just has not been the case for him so far. I think that time will get better for him. He's just not, for whatever reason, just not getting going the way that I think a lot of people really expected him to. Another guy that we can look at, he's in the minors. Uh, Jack Neely. He only did 6 games for us last year with a 9 ERA. But he is relatively young. I mean, he's only 24, so I do think that some time to progress in the minors and then bring him back up definitely could help. But he's a big guy, 6'8", 245. I mean, I think that I think that the Cubs are in a position with their bullpen right now, as it sits, where you probably should just be calling guys up just to see who can really help the bullpen and who can't. Because as we get deeper into the season, I mean, you're definitely going to be looking at the trade deadline to add, if anything, definitely bullpen help. That's going to be the number one concern if you are a team that is in a contention spot. And what I mean by contention, I'm going to look up while I'm here. Uh, look up the standings. So, as of 4/10/2025, the Cubs lead the National League Central uh, by 1 game over Milwaukee. Cubs are 9-6. They are 7-6. 2.5 games over St. Louis. 3 games over both Cincinnati and the Pirates. If we look at the league for the National League as a whole, if it loads, the Cubs are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sixth in the entire National League. So we're right in the middle of the road. Obviously, the National League is just dominated by the West. I mean, you got San Diego, San Francisco, Philadelphia is up there, San Diego. Um, but again, I mean, the Cubs, these are guys that are beating very, very good teams. This is why I'm excited to go on this West Coast trip because I want to see what they could do against the Dodgers in a normal series, right? Uh, but with the Cubs, obviously, as of right now, sitting in the lead of their division, you're not looking at I mean, it's also the second full week of the season, so you're definitely not looking um, at wild card talks by any means yet. But the Cubs lead the National League in run differential plus 28. They actually lead the entire league as the New York Yankees are the best in the AL and they're plus 23. So yeah, the Cubs are also the top dog in runs scored. They have 96, and it's not particularly close. I mean, the closest team to them is the Dodgers with 82. Again, the Cubs were scoring at a consistent and insane clip. The Cubs' expected win-loss right now is 10-5. Again, I do think that that game that they held over, I think it was San Diego, that we were up like 7-2, and we wound up losing 8-7. That one was really a kick in the shorts. But outside of that game, I mean, the Cubs really have only allowed 2 games that were should have won, and the bullpen just straight up gave up. Actually, I would say 3 games, because again, if you take out those first 2 games against the Dodgers, um, the Cubs have really lost 4 games so far, and 2 of those directly related to the bullpen. In my opinion, I think that one of them was just the offense taking a couple games to get going, and then once they did, that other loss was just yesterday um, against Imanaga just not having a good day. And I mean, your top guys in your rotation, sometimes they have a bad day. Unfortunate that yesterday was just for Shota because I really thought that looking at his ERA going into the game, his record at home, and his overall record when he starts, I really did think that the Cubs had a good opportunity to sweep yesterday. Sorry guys, my allergies are starting to get to me here. But you know, I do think that the Cubs, while the offense started just as hot as they did last year, I think that the variety of which they are scoring runs, I think that the Cubs are in a lot better position than they were last year. I think that just all around. As we look at the Cubs 2025 schedule again, as we get into um, as we look into next week's schedule specifically, uh, let me see the Cubs schedule, please. Here we go. Um, yeah, as we look into the schedule, I mean, you got three against LA, then you play three against San Diego. You have an off day, and then you play Arizona, um, and then another off day before you play two more against the Dodgers again at home. So here's why I say that I think the Cubs are in a better position. Last year, we would have been hoping just to win two or three out of this West Coast swing that we're looking at. I do think that you could win three to four of these next six. Like that, this is where I'm talking about the difference. Um, Obviously, you have to make up for one of Steele's starts. You have to find a way to do that. I think that it's a possibility that either Ray might make a spot start, or if Wicks is in good enough shape to be called up, he may make a spot start for Steele in this rotation. Or you might see a piggyback day of Ray and maybe, man, name's escaping me right now. But, um, anyways, as we look at LA, again, it's going to be tough because you're going to be going up against two of their better pitchers for sure in this matchup. You're going to go up against Yamamoto in game one. That's what that matchup looks like. And then on Saturday, if I could find this game, here we go. You're going up against Sasaki, and it will be Ben Brown. Now, the thing about Sasaki is, the first time we played him, he walked a lot. And this is before the Cubs offense really started moving things along. So maybe this second time around, you could take advantage of those walks if they're given to you. I think that that could be a big difference maker there. In game three, if they have their starters posted already, they should. Cubs TBD, but for the Dodgers, that'll be Glasnow. Glasnow's 1-0 with a 6.43 ERA. I'm not 100% sure on what that game really could look like. That one, again, I would say just kind of continue to do the same thing that you have been. Just take your walks, take your steals, take away, force outs and double plays. That could be your difference maker there. Um, but then, as you go into Monday, that's when you play San Diego. I mean, you did hand San Diego two of their first three losses. So, I think that the Cubs are just in a much better spot going into this West Coast trip than they were last year because our West Coast trip last year actually looked almost identical to this. I just think that we played the Padres and then the Dodgers. Uh, so yeah, I would love to see on this road trip, given that we're down Steele, I would like to see an even 3-3 split for this road trip. I do think that 4-2 is definitely reachable with how the offense is playing. Not that they have to keep up their insane clip that they're playing at, but take your walks, be aggressive on those bases to keep yourself out of double plays, force the defense into mistakes like you've been doing. Just take what is given to you. You don't have to be rock stars. You don't have to get those clutch hits every single time. Um, just keep doing what you're doing, and another 4-2 week could really, really be a possibility. And then you got the three against Arizona at home, and then the Dodgers at home. Being that you're out at home for those 5 games against Arizona, and then you play the Phillies, and then your schedule starts to lighten up. And I mean, really, the Cubs started with probably the best case scenario for their schedule because it really got front loaded with some of the heaviest teams to play. You look at just April, you finished up against the Athletics, then you played San Diego, you played Texas, now you go against LA, then you play San Diego again, then you play Arizona, then you play LA again, and I think that puts you finished with LA and San Diego already on the year. So, you really get ahead with these teams. If you do well against the Phillies, then you enter divisional play because then you got the Pirates and the Brewers. And if you win those first two series against the Pirates and the Brewers, you are really setting a statement for your division. And again, I don't want to get too ahead of us here because I mean this is just a weekly update show, but looking just ahead just a little bit, you could really make a statement against that first series of divisional play against the Pirates and the Brewers. So yeah, I mean that could be outstanding. But ladies, gentlemen, please leave your comments down below. Let me know how you are feeling about how the Chicago Cubs have started this season off so far. Let me know what you feel about Justin Steele going to the IL. Do you think that the Cubs can make up for it with a couple of call-ups? How do you think that the offense can keep up doing what they're doing? Maybe not, maybe not keep it up at this level, but maybe just right below it at this level. Do you think that they could be competitive on this West Coast trip against the Dodgers and San Diego? Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think. This has been your weekly update for the Chicago Cubs. We will catch you guys after the games for the post-game shows. Well, actually, these will be post-game shows a day after. So the Dodgers well, the first game against the Dodgers for sure. That will be a Saturday morning post-game show. That will be one like we did earlier in the season where I record it um, Saturday morning while I am at work on my break, and I will post that as a video. But Saturday's game, that will be right after the game. Sunday's game, that will be right after the game because it's at 6:10. The Padres, it depends on how fast the games go. If they go quick enough, those games may be right after, but may not. But the Wednesday game, that's at 3:10, that will for sure be a live show. So, uh, for the live shows, or the post game shows, that's what that schedule is going to tentatively look like. That is subject to change. Maybe it does. But for the weekly shows, ladies and gentlemen, this is the 410 show. Our next weekly update will be the 17th. And ladies and gentlemen, you have a good rest of your evenings. Have a good rest of your week. Have a good weekend. And we will see you guys after the game tomorrow.